Welcome to the Small Business Blueprint, a podcast for local business owners who are looking to reach sustainable growth. In each episode, you'll hear directly from small business owners and leaders who have navigated the changes and setbacks that outline their unique blueprint to small business success. So join us to learn how you can turn their stories into actionable steps to transform your business into an established brand in your community.
Welcome back to another episode of the Small Business Blueprint. My name is Alex. Most people call me Patty, as our next guest tends to do as well whenever we get a chance to talk. Today we're talking with Rob Babian at Apex Paint Pros, based out of the Chicago, Illinois area. Rob, how's it going for you guys over there this afternoon?
Everything is great. Can you hear me okay?
Everything sounds great, man. I love how we had a visitor there too. Little cameo.
Yeah, my daughters are coming home from school, so it's great. Apex has been doing really good. We've been really busy.
I love to hear that, especially since we might have something to do with that. I don't want to take too much credit though, and we'll dive into a little bit more holistically what your business looks like, and maybe even spread some knowledge for some of our listeners here today. But first and foremost, tell us a story of Apex Paint Pros. You know, where you guys got started, where this idea came from. You know, how long you've been involved in this industry. Really, anything and everything you want to tell us about your business.
Wow, that's a very open-ended question, so I can go forever on that. But first, I'd like to explain why I have these headphones on. These were not doing good enough audio in a clutch. I borrowed my daughter's. So anyways, Apex Paint Pros. We had a humble beginning. I mean, really the idea began back in 2018. I mean, my partner, who's also a family member, my father-in-law, shout out to John. He's the man with all the experience. He's been doing this for nearly 40 years, painting and drywall by trade. Union guy, smart guy, seen it all, done it all. And I had the added benefit of being able to use him as a resource to get my business up and running. But my background specifically is in the military. So Air Force, 10 years active duty, 5 years defense contracting and project management, and then I had little ones. Some of them that you've seen, one of them you've seen run across the screen. They have been my wife have been my main source of motivation and inspiration. Everything I do in life is for my family. So I had started on a path to transition from active duty at my 10-year mark so that I could create more stability for my family. And that took me from my last duty station out at Creature Air Force Base, Nevada, to back home, to the Chicago suburbs. So that's where I set up shop with an aspirations of going back to business school. And that got cut short with the reality of having to relocate and buy another house. And with that, put me back into the workforce, which then got those wheels turning again. That plan back in 2018 turned into a reality in 2020 when I filed for my business license. And it was crazy. The timing of that was February, mid-February, when I gave my 2 weeks, and I left on February 28th. I remember that date. And I filed for my business license on March 2nd, and then the state shut down with COVID. So it's been a very interesting last year plus, but we've been navigating these uncharted waters. And like you said, luckily we've had great support systems in place, along from what my father-in-law brings to the table, what I've been able to gain from other companies and partnerships such as GoSite. So it's been great. And I could tell you all kinds of stuff, but that's kind of like the organic roots of how we got started. I could get more granular from there, but yeah.
I love it. And just for the people listening that might not be able to see what Rob's actually got on his head right now, he's rocking some headphones that have, it looks like little cat ears on them.
Mm-hmm.
that are his daughters that are awesome.
Yeah.
Those are so cool. You might, if we do this many more times, you're gonna have to keep wearing those headphones
I
because
will definitely rock these for sure. I
those
like
are
it.
great. Those are
Feels
great.
good.
So touching base and going back to your story, where you got your start in that
Right.
military background. How did you get into project management on the military side of things that then led you down this path? Was that happenstance? Was that something that you went into the military trying to do?
No.
How did this come about as a career path for you?
All right. So, I guess I'll start with my beginnings in the military. I was an airborne system engineer. I flew on the RC-135 Corbeau Ball out of Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. Basically, I was a back-end flying technician. Something broke in flight, I would fix it. We'd get our collect, we'd move on. Did that for many years, and then I transitioned to being a sensor operator and doing drone operations out of Creech. So a little bit different skill set, different mission objectives, what have you. But when my children were born and I transitioned out, the first opportunity I had was being a training manager for the operational unit that I had previously worked for. And that had progressed into managing a variety of small local projects for the unit that allowed me to partner with other larger contracting companies, culminating with GDIT, General Dynamics Information Technology, who was just acquired my company, which was CSRA at the time. And so at that point, I had developed a robust skill set in managing multi-billion-dollar projects. So really exciting stuff. However, not the most ideal duty location and or work location, I guess, as a civilian, to raise a family. So I had to pivot, switch gears, and get into the line of work that I'm in now. And so project management, specifically being a senior project coordinator for the 30th Reconnaissance Squadron, which was the last operational unit that I had worked for, had opened a lot of doors, put me in front of a lot of decision makers, sponsors, if you will. When you break down project management, a project is comprised of basic elements, right? You have your scope, you have your schedule, and you have your budget. And you have somebody controlling all aspects of that, and that's your sponsor. And so I learned very quickly that even when applied in the environment of the military and the government, that those same principles could be carried over into the civilian sector if applied correctly. Moreover, that wasn't even my goal. My goal was to go back to business school because I wanted to be C-suite. I wanted to be a board member. I wanted to be a decision maker. And I thought that if I did that, I would have the capital, the income rolling in that I could do everything I wanted to do for my family. But I didn't realize that that was going to be a very large commitment of my time. Time is really the most valuable resource that you can't get back. You have to use wisely. And so in that, in pivoting and going back, I ended up initially going back to work for a marketing company called Plum Grove. Shout out, plug to Plum Grove, incorporated out of Hoffman Estates. Peter Lanio, the daughter taking over, Kara Lanio. Shout out to Kara. Doing great things over there. Really showed me a lot. Everything from tchotchkes, got to have your tchotchkes, got to have your marketing materials, on to really what business is about. And if you look at our tagline, quality care service, it's really an ethos that we live and breathe and stand behind. And when you have some of these basic elements in place, doing business is just clockwork. It's all about connecting resources, but you have to be found. And that's where I found myself in a unique position where I couldn't do everything on my own. I'm still doing everything on my own. But at some point, to be able to grow and achieve in life, you have to be able to partner with the right people to be able to scale your operations. And by virtue of that, by filing my business license and building a website, I got into the World Wide Web database, and marketing took over, and I was solicited by Joe Mazzilli with GoSite initially. And I was like, no, I don't want any of that. What is this? I don't know. I can do everything on my own. But really, I couldn't. I thought I could. I couldn't. This was a year ago. Here I am a year later. Very grateful for him reaching out. I think that everything that GoSite has been able to do for me since I partnered has been phenomenal. Our lead flow management is great, almost to the point where, yes, I am seeking that next level angel investment funding or seeking to refine my business plan as I'm still in the lean startup state so that I can seek traditional funding so that I can get bigger than what I am now. Because there's a lot of work out there to be had that are looking for quality individuals, companies that can deliver on promises made. We are one of them, but we can only do so much until we vet and partner with others so that we can grow and scale our business and operations.
I love it. I love it.
And that was a mouthful. Sorry about that, guys. Babylon. My call sign in military, Babylon. I can talk too much if you don't cut me off.
Babian, Babian. That's why we have you here. We love people that like to talk, and if you can talk, that's why we want you here. And one of the things I wanted to ask you too, and this is something that I get all the time from just clients that not only I work with, but small businesses in general. Contractors have this stereotype, right? Of, especially like growing up, I didn't really know that many contractors. The ones I did were ones that were brought into my life in some form or fashion. And generally there is a stereotype around contractors that, they might be a little lazy. They're not the most organized people, which is the exact opposite of how I would describe your business. So how do you go about proving that quality and that work to people that don't necessarily know who you guys are and maybe come in with those preconceived notions of what a contractor might bring to the table for a particular project?
All right, sure. That's a fair enough question. Great question. All right, let me think about that for a second. I guess it would start by first impressions, right?
Okay.
First impressions are everything. So I want to know, every client that ever reaches out to me on my business line, at the end of our conversation, I hear them out. I ask, how did you hear about us? And what they usually come back with is I Google local painting contractors near me. And I happen to come up. I came up, I come up top. I still come up top of the list in the Wakanda, Illinois area. And I come up with 5-star reviews, nothing but 5-star reviews. And so people start digging into that because people really want to learn from somebody else's perspective. What did this person do? What was the scale? I mean, we do residential, we do commercial. I mean, we do everything. So I am a people pleaser by heart. So that's a unique, I guess, character trait that I have that I carry over into my business. So I believe in a commitment to getting the job done right. I'm A-type personality. I'm OCD. I mean, I treat every project as if it's my own. And I would hope that somebody trusting to have me come on board to take care of whatever they need, whether it's personal, professional, whatever it is, that I deliver. Because a man is only as strong as his commitment to his services, to his bond, to his word. That's why people shake, right? Mm-hmm. It's a commitment. It's a physical representation that, hey, I'm going to be here from start to finish. If you need anything, reach out to me. And I convey that to my clients. So I believe it starts with being found, number one, being found for the right thing, and two, being able to resonate and connect with the client on a personal level and trying to establish that rapport and trust, which is absent prior to the relationship. And from there, you have to foster that. And how do you foster that? By delivering on promises made. And we deliver all the time. And it can be difficult. You can lose money on some projects, but really what you gain at the end of the day is that trust. Trust is everything. When you lose that trust, you've lost everything. And that's why a lot of people that go into business and they start small, they start, getting on projects, they just can't keep up with the quality, the end to end, from start to finish, what it takes to make that client satisfied. But we stand behind the work we do, through our implicit warranties, what have you. You know, if you need anything, we're always available. I'm always available. I mean, I'm looking to grow and scale and have a support team that I can vet, train, proper training program, what have you. But clients like that. And then they like it so much that they're willing to share that with others, you know. And I believe by virtue of that, that's helped get the legs underneath Apex Paint Pros. But it couldn't have been done without the expert work of my partners at GoSite, you know. You guys, specifically you, my success manager, Alex Patterson, aka Patty. I mean, you've always replied back to me. I mean, through your scheduling process, requesting a call back. I need an issue tweaked on my website, whatever it is, because the website is the first representation. It's the, you know, people do judge a book by its cover, you know, and they want to see quality from start to finish, you know. And I'm still growing into what you guys have to offer. You guys are so robust in everything you offer, you know, and I'm grateful for that because that's giving me the foothold that I need to be able to carve out market share in my local area. And now I have so many jobs rolling in, it's hard to keep track of, even as a project manager. I mean, I'm juggling 15 plus projects right now in various phases, from bidding to closing out the job and doing that follow up with the client. You know, it's part of our process. If you have what I took from the military is proper planning, mission planning. If you don't plan, you're going to have piss poor results. When you plan, you execute, and you follow up, follow through, and or do the debrief. You take back lessons learned. Your clients feel secure and satisfied with the work that's been done. And moreover, to your question, you don't know much about contractors. Everybody is really not cut from the same cloth. You know, it matters what's important to them. Right now, what's important to me is Apex Paint Pros, because this is the medium and the vehicle that I need to support my family. So if I'm not taking care of my baby, I can't take care of my other babies and wife and family and friends. You see how it's self-serving? You do the
Exactly.
right thing and good things will follow.
I love that. I love that. And I don't want to backtrack too much here, but I do want to go back to something that you mentioned just in your personal story of how you mentioned that you started this business at the very beginning of the pandemic, like right before it started.
Yeah, 7 days before Governor Pritzker, I'm in the state of Illinois, shut the state down. I couldn't even get a business checking account established. It was crazy, you know. Man, how many hurdles I've had to go through. But yeah, I mean, God has been good. And here's the key: to be successful, you have to be hardworking, you have to be perseverant, and you have to have motivation to a cause and purpose. If you ever lose any of those, if you lose any energy, any motivation, even if it's within yourself, you're self-motivated. You know, if you lose that motivation to carry over any aspect of your business is going to fail. And life is going to snap you around every corner with this problem, that problem, you know, and your mind, you know, we're all human beings. You're going to look for the easy solution, the easy way out. But, you know, that's the path that's least followed is the path to greatness and to success. That's the blueprint to success.
I love it. I love it. Let me ask you this too. Starting a business in a pandemic. I mean,
I didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. I didn't know that when I started.
Right. So what was like the big first hurdle that you came across? I know, like even just mentioning like trying to get a business checking account was super difficult. What was the biggest challenge that came up starting that business at like right before the pandemic hit? What was the biggest thing that you were not expecting to be an obstacle for you that turned out to be an obstacle?
Wow, another open-ended question. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, let me go back. I mean, if I had a thing off the top of my head, one of the additional biggest hurdles that I had in launching Apex Paint Pros was getting organized, was getting all my ducks in a row. I mean, people don't realize a lot of the back end capacities, departments, what have you, that goes into creating a business. Everyone thinks like, I have this great idea, I have this great product, I have this great service. I'm just going to do what I'm good at. But no, that's not the way business works. You have to be top of mind. You have to stay top of mind. How do you do that? I started building my website myself using Wix as a platform. I have a degree in IT, and I'm pretty computer savvy, so I'm gonna take on this challenge myself. Let me start building. I can do all the creative content. It's great. As I got going and I got into the meta tagging and I got into the indexing, I realized that it was gonna be a lot more effort that I could support. And as being an owner operator and a technician in the field, it was taking too much of my time. Going back to time away from growing the business. So I realized I had to outsource that, one hurdle. Luckily, I was found by Joe and GoSite, and there was a partnership there. Moreover, it came down to scheduling and organized CRM, the client relationship management database, and I know you guys have a great one. I use yours. I use several. I use every resource that's available to me, basically, in order to stay organized. But really, the difficult part was just trying to be a family man, honestly.
Okay.
When trying to grow and start a business and you're trying to do that and still kind of fit in with the norm of what everyone else in your life has been used to, like daddy's always available for this, husband Rob is always available for this. And now time, we go back to time, is cut short because my time is now invested into something else, another project, making a business, growing a business. So that was one hurdle logistically. Luckily, I have a great family, a great wife, and friends, and so they were able to help me navigate through some of those challenges. But God, face masks. Getting face masks. A lot of people are concerned with social distancing. Respecting the clients in their home and respecting the local bylaws and guidelines of the state that they've instituted on essential businesses, such as the one that I was opening up and going into. It created a lot of hurdles. Everybody, you have to respect everybody's right to safety, to health, to whatever they got going on. And so just getting the resources to be able to show up and maintain, scanners to check your temperature, check your worker's temperature every day, make sure that you're not trying to bring anything bad into somebody else's house. Number one hurdle. You name it. I could go on and on. I need a more specific question, but
No problem. Let me ask you this. How long did it take you to gather up all those materials? Just those ones you just mentioned, the face masks, temperature, those temperature scanners.
I'll say this. So I filed for my business license March 2nd, and I didn't actually start on my first project until June.
Wow.
I could get you an exact date on that. So there was a couple months there where it was navigating uncharted waters, building up the back end of the business, the nuts and bolts of how things were going to work, getting those resources needed to be able to conduct quality business, safely. Everything is a learning experience. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so luckily, my ventures haven't killed me. They drove me and my family at times crazy, but we're still here doing our thing,
Absolutely. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come talk to us here. I know I appreciate it a lot with everything that you've been able to not only impart on us, but just the fact that you're readily and available for something like this is awesome. So I really appreciate that. My last question for you on a business perspective. What's the one piece of advice you would give to any person that's out there trying to start a new business? You can use that piece of advice for something that is pandemic related, is not pandemic related. What's the one piece of advice you would give to anybody that's out there starting a new business right now?
Anyone that's out there starting a new business, I gotta tell you this. It's not going to be easy. I thought it was going to be easy. I thought, with the right amount of money saved up, set aside, everything should be like clockwork. Well, it's not. There's so many things that rear their ugly head along the process. One, I would say have a very focused, targeted goal as far as what you want to achieve, what you want to do. Whether you're selling a product or a service, you have to know what you're trying to achieve. You have to get educated to a degree, or you got to partner yourself with educated people like GoSite. I mean, you have to know your target demographic. You got to know there's certain elements of business from a marketing perspective to a sales perspective to, I mean, there's so many different elements that go into getting found, and selling what you have to offer, And at the end of the day, I believe there was a quote that said it best. I think that was the founder of Neiman Marcus. Let me see if I can find the actual quote. It's about. Sorry.
That's okay.
I can't find it. Basically, I'll give you the gist. The gist is that you're not in business to sell anyone anything. You're in the business to solve problems. You're a solution to a problem. And at the end of the day, people don't pay you for your service. They pay you because you're able to do something better than anyone else and solve their problem. And when you could do that, the dollar amount is negligible. It doesn't even matter. It really matters on what you are professing to offer and what you deliver at the end of the day. And you have to value yourself. You have to value your time. Don't look for the quick paycheck. Don't look for the easy way out. Stick by your guns. Stick by what you're offering, what you're professing to offer, and that's it. Be quality at the end of the day.
I love that. I love everything about what you just said is perfect. So I hope our listeners that are out there that are on that verge of starting that new business take that advice and follow it, because I honestly could not have said it any better myself. All right, couple quick questions for you.
All right. Rapid fire. Let's go.
Total number of technology companies that you're working with currently. Just a number. That's all I need. And this can be CRM related. This can be sales related. This can be marketing related. Just the total number of companies that you're working with currently.
I would say approximately 7 companies.
Wow. Okay.
At least 7 companies that I could think of.
Okay.
I mean, everyone from, getting accredited with the Better Business Bureau, to working with GoSite, unsolicited plug for Jobber, but Jobber's been great, I mean, you name it. My business line too. I mean, my GoSite. I mean, you name it. There is somebody offering to do something, and it has to be within your budget for your company. And here's the thing about starting a company like I did, still being in a lean startup state, there's some things that you forego by proper mission planning, coming up with that formal business plan that can account for what you need to invest your money in, who you need to invest it with. And here's the hard part. Just like clients find me for whatever they need, I have to find other business to business relationships, that will work out. When there's so many fish in the sea, how do I vet who's good? Well, I get through those that actually follow through. They have a commitment to communication and due diligence and follow up, much like GoSite's had. That's why we have an ongoing partnership and relationship. I mean, there's other partnerships that I'm still exploring now to exploit based on my industry. It's just everything takes time. We're just over 1 year in. I mean, technically, I'm still got a lot to learn. So you check back in with me another year or 2 from now, and hopefully I'm exponentially light years ahead from where I'm at now. And all this will seem, mundane or frivolous, but trivial.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think most business owners realize how much technology really goes into running a business nowadays. Even for something like yourself, you don't have any technology offering, you paint houses, buildings, like commercial building, you do commercial and residential painting.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people realize there's still a lot of technology that goes into that stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Let me talk about. I mean, my partners. Here's a plug for Sherwin-Williams. I mean, we partner almost exclusively with Sherwin-Williams, but I mean, they have technology that can help support me as well. I mean, in the form of, commercial estimating software, in the form of CAD drafting, rendering, 3D rendering of images for color selections, what have you. I mean, there's so many apps, there's so many gimmicky things out there, but it's really about what works to give your client the perspective, the ideas, to bring to life the ideas that they have so they can feel more comfortable making certain decisions. Technology plays a big role in that. With that, we're in the technological era and age, the technological revolution, unless we've advanced beyond that almost to the AI revolution, which we're very close to
I
being
know.
told what we need.
Absolutely. Now to get something completely away from business, what's your favorite activity to do when you're not running your business? How do you like to spend your leisure time? Just give our listeners just a little perspective into that. Being a business owner doesn't take all your time. You still have a little leisure time. What do you like to do?
Well, I'll stop you there. It does. Being a new business owner takes all of your time. I mean, I go to sleep and
That's
wake
true.
up with business on my mind. But when I do have moments of free time, I like to spend that time quality with family and friends, cooking, entertaining, spending time outdoors when the weather is getting nicer now. I mean, I'm in the Midwest, so spring is in the air, summer is around the horizon. Spending time with my wife, with my kids, kicking back on the couch, watching a movie. I mean, I'm working with my hands, doing things all day long, being an owner operator, in the field technician. I value the time I have to relax, unwind. Maybe one day I'll get into some other technology based entertainment like gaming and whatnot. Like I did when I was young. Now I just don't have the time for it, but one day.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite new movie you just watched? Whether it be with the kids or without the kids.
Okay. My favorite new movie that I just watched was King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Okay.
Another plug for HBO Max. Tomorrow we have Mortal Kombat coming out. So I'm very excited about that. I mean, these are the things that get me excited. I mean, I'm a pretty simple person. I mean, it doesn't take much to get me excited, but I am excited for the future. I'm really excited about where the business is going, where it's heading. Very grateful to God and family and friends, and I'm just glad that you invited me on to your podcast to kind of share my story. I don't know if I did it well enough or I explained everything well enough or not, but thanks for having me on and kind of, I don't know if it's your first time hosting or not, but this is my first podcast. So
Rob Babian
thank
from
you.
Apex Paint Pros. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Check us out online, apexpaintpros.com. Actually got a new website waiting to get released probably next week. Don't have that date shored up, but expect to see changes depending on when this actually airs. Hopefully it's live by then. So yeah, take a look at what GoSite can do for you.
Absolutely. Rob Babian, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for listening to the Small Business Blueprint. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. This podcast is brought to you by GoSite, an all-in-one platform that makes it easier for your customers to find, book, and pay for your services online instantly. Get started for free at GoSite.com.